Welcome back to Mournful Walrus. I'm your host, Stephen Weathers, and today I am going through the contents, this is an unboxing, of Camp Grizzly. I don't know why I said it that way, that's very strange. Camp Grizzly, which has become one of my most favorite board games that I own. It's 1 to 6 players, hour to 2. Alright, let's see what's in the box. We of course have the board, but then we have a nice postcard, greetings from Camp Grizzly, which was just kind of a little Kickstarter bonus, which is, I think, a great start to this game, because it really just, like, solidifies the style, the theme of the game, because the game is, it's basically, Friday the 13th, basically, except a board game. You play a bunch of counselors at a camp being chased by a serial killer. Here's just a quick look at the instruction guide. It's full of fantastic art. I feel like it's art from cards, but I can't verify that at this current point in time. So if you want to verify that, you should buy the game and do it yourself. There are a lot of things in this game, but not all of them come with the game. These are actually from, I guess, an expansion, sort of, which is just the little minifigs 1. So it's the minifigures made in pewter of the 6 counselors, which I forgot to pull one out, and Otis, the big serial killer, of the base game. And the game also includes 4 dice. You've got a D4, a D6, a D8, and a D10, and they are a very interesting component to the game. And then we have the tokens for the end game tokens, I guess. These are the items in the game that you can acquire that are not in cards. You've got rope, car battery, gas can, keys, a crank. You only need 3 of those items per ending, which I'll get to later, but it's very easy to lose the items, so you have to go find more. These little black rings are just little card markers to keep track of things, which I'll get into in a second. So, in the very bottom left, you actually have Jody, who's a counselor and not a cameo, but the color scheme did not stand out when I was setting these up, because all of the other counselors are like brightly colored. So the counselors on the right side are the ones that you play yourself. The cameos on the left side are NPCs, basically, that each do their own thing. Like the 2 cops in the upper left corner, if you run into them, they steal your weapons. Things like that. The red token is Otis. He's the big bad of the game. And then you just have the body count counter, I guess. It's what you use to keep track on the board of the body count. Creepy. Then we have these markers, which we have... What do we have? We have... I don't remember what that one's for. We've got the terrified ones, the radio, bear trap, keys, or terrified. There's a couple ones that signify fire. So we've got the body count, which as more people die, it goes up. But it also changes the stats of Otis. So when you get 1 body, he has a stock of 2, which is his movement. And then at 3 bodies, he has an extra attack, extra damage, extra stock again. So as the game progresses and more people die, he gets faster and stronger and hits for more. Here's just a quick look at the map. We've got the upper left, the upper right, the lower left, and the lower right. And in each corner you have the finale arrow, the big bright red arrow, which leads to the end game, which you can only access when you have all the items, blah blah blah. You have 2 decks. You have the orange cabin cards and the green survival cards. Survival cards give you, like, items and powers. Like this is a single use that you can use to hurt someone, or this one's a permanent, so it's like it's a character feature sort of. You got a single use where you can escape when being attacked. You can make a weapon that you can only use once. You can dodge. You can never be horrified, which is fantastic, because when you're horrified, you can only move so fast, and you can't like pick things up and stuff. One of the things I really like about this game is all of the art. There's very little like doubling of the art. Like it's almost every card is almost every card is new art. The cabin cards are the ones that you draw at the end of each person's turn, which like trigger events mostly. Like this one, you get an item, which is the bear trap, or Otis shows up in your cabin and pulls you out of the window, or you get a big target you can use for a shield. Different stuff like that. You have a camera, which you can blind Otis when you're fighting him, which makes him re-roll his attack. Plot twist, everything's on fire. Then that's also where the cameos come in, like they're the cops. And then you have the campers, which are kind of like NPCs that you can keep with you, I guess. Like they're almost in an inventory that you have, where they follow you around because you're a counselor and they're campers. You know, they got stuff like first aid kits and medicine and stuff to heal your broken leg and knife wound. Then we have the giant objective cards, which in the base game there are 8. You have the barn, the boat, the barn, and then 4 more. So why there are 2 of them? Each one, so you need the items on the front of the card to go to that finale. But then you don't know which finale you're going to get. In this case, you've got the bait and the bear. For the boat, you've got Sharks and Minnows, where you have to swim away, or Grizzly Falls, where you survive a waterfall. And I'm not going to go into detail of these very much, because they're very cinematic the way they play out. It's like the gameplay for the end cards it's completely different than the rest of the game. It gets so stressful and so exciting, and everyone's screaming because you're rolling to see if you survive, and oh my god, it's so good. Then you have Otis's character card, who is an NPC. He's not actually a person that you play. There are a lot of different mechanics that decide where he goes and things like that. But here you can see his stock, his attack, his damage. So when his attack goes up, you're like kind of like doing in D&D, where you're doing like a knowledge check where you're trying to see if you can roll higher than the other person. Except as Otis continues in the game, he rolls bigger and bigger dice, but you always have the same die. So it just gets harder and harder, and oh god, this game is so good. So at the end, he can move 4 spaces per turn. He rolls a d10 to attack you versus your d6 or whatever you might have, and he hits for 4. And most counselors only have 4 damage before they die, so run. Then the game also includes 2 basic little game setups of like how many tokens to put where and things like that. I've only played on easy and won twice, I think. Like not very many times at all. And just looking at the normal game rules, I don't know. We'll see. So then we have the counselor cards, which are like your player cards, where you keep track of your personal information. You've got CJ, Sherry, Kevin, Jody, Tracy, and Karen. And if you notice, on the far left is your health and movement, and they're tied together. You only keep track of that one bar of things. So you can, when you're at full health, you have 3 moves as Tracy. But as you lose a health, you move slower and slower until you're just about to die, and then you have like a movement of 4 and stuff. It's great. It's fantastic. And there's Otis, whose figure itself is like 1.5 times the size of the rest of them, which is just so good. I think my only complaint with the game is that the little stands that the figurines came with, like, on their own, they don't stand up. So I used, apparently, the wrong kind of glue to kind of get them to stand up. But then eventually, because it was the wrong kind of glue, it continued to be soft, and they all fell off. Like, the little black ones at the bottom of the screen are the stands. So, one of these days I'm going to get some, like, good glue and, like, paint them at some point. Another complaint is you have so much stuff in this game, and the insert for the box itself is super basic, and you're not really provided with, like, any little bag keys to keep all of these different freaking tokens in. So I'm going to invest in some tiny Ziploc bags and, I don't know, maybe some rubber bands for the cards or something. I don't know. Because I have one of the expansions on the way, which adds like another counselor card and a couple more cameos and some campers and a bunch of event cards and stuff like that. And then I think in total there's like 7 expansions planned out, or yeah, like 6 or 7. I plan on getting all of them because I fucking love this game. It's one of my most favorite games I've bought, honestly. But, I mean, just look at that. That's so much stuff, not a good way to organize it, and it just looks so messy. Anyhow, that's on me, that's not on you. So anyhow, that was Camp Grizzly. At a future point, when I get some people together who will have the patience to let me film, I am going to put out, like, a gameplay video of just, like, the first full round of the game or something, just to show you how the mechanics of the game work in action. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have much else to say. I've been rambling for a while. Steven Weathers out! Later days, guys. Oh, subscribe or whatever. Maybe like the video or something, because I guess that's how you do YouTube or something. I don't know. I don't really care. Anyhow, Camp Grizzly. Buy the game. So good. So good. Oh god, it's so good! Fuck yeah.